435 Transport and Rescue Squadron, which is based in Winnipeg, Manitoba. We operate out of 17 wing, so we're on call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to respond to search and rescue scenarios, whether it be a plane crash, whether it be a lost hunter. Our region extends from basically the western side of the Rocky Mountains all the way to Thunder Bay and up to the Arctic Circle. So we have crews on standby, either 30-minute or 2-hour response time to get into the air to search for whatever needs to be searched for. Our C-130 Hercules aircraft is quite a capable aircraft. We have 4 to 5 of them in Winnipeg. They can proceed on scene very quickly at roughly 550 kilometers an hour at altitudes up to 31,000 feet. And once they get to the actual search and rescue site, they'll prosecute their search and rescue mission in accordance with what we do on a daily basis, training and figuring out how to do this. So what happens with an overturned vessel in a situation like this is our C-130 Hercules will proceed over the search area, and they'll conduct an observation pass first to be able to see what's going on in the immediate vicinity. They're looking for different dangers, different areas that would be of concern for the parachutists that will be going into the situation. So they'll conduct an observation pass, make sure that they understand exactly what's going on. They may drop a radio if that seems appropriate. They could also drop different kit that we have established for situations like this, which include a survival kit airdroppable, or SCAD, as well as a type of rescue raft. Those types of things that we would be able to provide immediate on-scene support. In some of our maritime scenarios, we could also drop a pump to the boat so that if they were experiencing flooding, they would be able to help themselves out and pump their own boat out. In today's scenario, we had an overturned vessel with survivors that were underneath this vessel. They were able to, they were calling for help, so we needed to get guys underneath that boat to be able to rescue them in a quick and timely manner. So what happens, the Herc proceeds overhead, conducts an observation pass, and then goes again. They drop wind drift indicators, or WDIs, which are basically big pieces of streamer, and they are able to assess how the wind is going to impact the parachutists. And then their next drop, they'll set up for a timing run, and then finally dispatch search and rescue technicians onto the site.
I'm a search and rescue technician, so I'm basically I assist the aircraft commander, and we are the mission planning. We are the ones who actually parachute out of the airplane, and with the medical training and the equipment, that once we get on scene, we assess the patients and we treat them as best we can, and then we coordinate with the aircraft commander and the rescue coordination center to come up with a plan to getting us back home with the patient. As a SARTech, we've all been in the military as some sort of trade in the past. I was in the Army previous, and then we go through a 1-year training cycle done in Comox and Alberta, as well as down in Arizona for parachute training. Within that year, we learned from paramedic training, parachute training, scuba dive training, mountain training. We learn land survival. We do ground search techniques just to get to your basic level as a team member. Then we get posted to a unit, like a 435 Squadron, which you'll undergo an OJT package, which is about 3 months, after which time you'll be qualified on the aircraft. You'll learn the flying aspects of the job, dropping equipment and working with the scenarios in real life. After that period of time, you go through a couple more years, and then you develop your skill set, become a team leader with some more advanced training, more medical, more mountain training stuff. I've got about 500 jumps now, so it's another day in the office, I guess. It's each day is different. We look at all risks, because it's not like civilian having fun jumps. We jump with a lot of equipment and gear. We're pretty heavy, and we jump very large canopies. So, and we have to be pretty accurate, because we can be jumping into trees or small areas within patches and clearings within trees, or into the water or whatever. So it's fun. Right now, this is our dry suit. When we do any type of water work, we'll be wearing this suit. As you saw today, we did a water jump with our equipment, so we're simulating, we're about to do a dive. So now we jumped into the water. The first couple bundles that we threw out were actual dive equipment. So we were setting up our gear onto a boat, and we'll be simulated going into a dive as if we were searching on a vessel that turned upside down. Right now for us, our main scenarios for diving is if we think there's potential saving life. So if we hear something in a boat, or if we know it's fairly recent overturn, there's a chance for us to bring it in survival, or bring it out as a survivor. We bring special gear in, we'll put that on that patient, take them out of the vessel, and then we'll treat them. And then by this time, we'll have a boat on scene to extract us out, or a helicopter.
My primary role is the mechanical expertise on the aircraft. So I take care of pre-flight inspections, I take care of general maintenance on it, servicing, elementary tasks, so we're talking about fueling, towing the aircraft, making sure it's ready for every flights, making sure it's got enough fuel. I'm also close with the technicians, so being a technician prior to this job, it's always a challenge to make sure that the technicians provide you with the correct information, so I can pass on the information to the pilots in terms of how many hours left for each inspections, in order to know how much time we can fly with the aircraft. It took us about 9 flying hours to get to here from Bagotville, so they need to know how the inspections are going to go. It's a lot of planning. Besides that, I make sure the cabin's all configured for each mission. So we have a stretcher here, we call it the Stokes. We also have a BDPU, that's a net that unfolds. We use that to recover people in the water. We can also use it to deliver equipment on the land. We have a life raft here. That's in case of emergency if we ever have problems with the water. That's a deployable big life raft inflates on its own. So every bits of pieces in the aircraft, I need to know the weight in case I need to take it out to take more people in. And it's always a big challenge of knowing how much weight do I have, how much fuel do I have, can I bring 2 casualties, 3 casualties, are they adults, are they children's? Every weight is important, and the weight keeps changing throughout the flight. If I burn fuel, I can take on more people. So it's always in the back of my head, it's always in my checklist. So the weight is always important. I put my weight down, I calculate all of my numbers that I give to the pilot. They're all performance numbers that I calculate with my charts. All of the charts are based on density altitude, so I have to calculate the density altitude prior to the flight, takes into consideration the elevation of the airport, the temperature. Once that's calculated, I can punch in my numbers, give that to the pilot, gives them an idea of how much power we'll be pulling. We pull different powers in different regime of flights, so they need to know that information. Besides that, we wear the LPSV. It's a life-preserving survival vest. In there we have many things to help us in case we crash somewhere remote. There's a beacon inside, there's water, there's basic medical aids. Attached to it, there's the EBS. It's an emergency breathing system. If we crash in the water, the first thing the aircraft will do is rotate, and we'll find ourselves upside down in the water. So we need to have this in order to be able to breathe and exit the aircraft. They give us about 2 to 3 minutes of air, depending on how fast you breathe. It's just compressed air, it's not oxygen. So that's a very important gear, especially if we do search and rescue, since we are deployed over water quite a lot. The harness helps me move in the cabin without having to wear a seatbelt. A lot of times the door is open, and I help this technician to carry out the equipment and everything, so I wear the harness. It's attached to a strap that's called a monkey tail. The SARTEC also have his harness and his strap. He sits on the left. Inside the aircraft, during flights, I talk to the pilots a lot. It's always this constant communication about weight, performance, watch the gauges and everything. If anything happens, any emergencies, I'll be calling out checklist items. So if we have an engine on fire, if we have a problem with transmission, problems with oil, I'll be calling out certain steps. Everything that's in bold needs to be learned by heart, committed to memory. These are the critical emergencies. So we're talking about loss of an engine, engine on fire, these types of emergencies. So that's a very important checklist. Besides that, I'll be sitting on the right, as you saw. Well, we always wear a helmet, that's mandatory. Knee pads, we're always on your knees, since it's quite a small aircraft. We can't stand up all the time, so it's quite the challenge for the body. So this is a hoist, 245 feet of cable. Allows me to hook up to 600 pounds of material or persons. A SARTEC weighs around 200 pounds. With the gear, it comes to about 230 pounds. So the second we have a victim, we can bring them in double up, we call. So we grab a horse collar that we call. It's a strap that goes around your body, and we bring you guys up. I can deliver equipment with this, so if the SARTEC requires any piece of equipment, he's going to be calling me on the radio. So the very first thing we ever do is insert the SARTEC on the ground. He goes and meet whoever's there. And again, it depends on the information that we have from the dispatch. If we know that he's fine, I'll be just dropping the SARTEC. He's going to meet him and make sure he's all right. If he's badly injured, he's going to be down with his basic medical kit. Once he's on the ground, he's going to assess the condition of the patient, call me on the radio. He's going to tell me I need either oxygen, defibrillator, IV warmer, blanket. We have an electrical blanket with a battery. So anything he needs, I put on the cable, deliver it to him, and then we just go around and do circles. Once we're there, depending on how far we are from the base or how far we are from the hospital, we may have to land somewhere and shut down the engines, let the SARTEC work, especially if he needs time. Sometimes he needs 30 to 45 minutes to secure the patient, make sure he's stabilized. Once they're ready for extraction, we'll start the engines again, start the engines back, and come and pick him up. It's always about fuel. If we don't have enough fuel, then we're in trouble. This aircraft is usually painted yellow and red for the search and rescue purposes, so people can spot us from far away. This particular one is painted with stripes, since the emblem of the squadron is a tiger. It's the 75th anniversary of the squadron, so we had the aircraft painted for that purpose. Usually it's only the tail that's striped, but we had the authorization to paint the entire aircraft with stripes. It's quite the process. I actually helped the guys a little bit, took pictures. It's quite the process. The paint is also a weight, so the aircraft had to be weighed again for the tracking. There was one guy did the airbrush on it. That's a military technician that did that. That's a special authorization for the aircraft. It's only valid for a year. Hopefully we'll be able to keep it going for more than that. But it's quite unique, this paint job. It's the only one in Canada that you'll ever see that's completely striped like this. Each other search and rescue aircraft is entirely yellow with red stripes, and the entire cowlings on the top are all red. Besides that, it's entirely yellow and red.